As photographers, I think it's imperative that we look at the lives and work of those who have come before us. This is Street Smarts Volume 1, Fred Herzog. Fred Herzog, like many artists, is one who wasn't appreciated during the time that his art was being created, but respect was found for his art after the fact. Unlike many artists in the same type of situation, he was fortunately realized during his lifetime. Born in Germany in the 1930s during the rising tides of World War II, Herzog emigrated to Canada in the early 1950s after the war due to the loss of both of his parents and the destruction brought on by the war that could be seen throughout Germany. First, moving to Toronto, a city he felt was seedy and unattractive because he had not yet learned how to turn ugly scenes into beautiful pictures. He decided to move once more to Vancouver, a city that would be the focus of most of his work for the next 40 years. During those 40 years, he developed a new way of looking at the world that was markedly different from other photographers, thoroughly explored and photographed Vancouver, and became one of the pioneers of color photography. All of these elements shaped his photography and why it has become work that is both loved and respected by those who have come to find it. Herzog's choice of film stock and decision to shoot color photography at a time when it was not widely accepted are both partly to blame for his lack of influence and popular renown during his lifetime. Kodachrome was his film of choice, but the expense and inconvenience of processing it made it challenging for Herzog to complete most of his work. That being said, it clearly had a huge influence on making the look, mood, and tone of his photos unique for his subject matter, and helped develop the way he worked when taking photos. The measured concentration he had for his work had a lot to do with the expense of the Kodachrome film that he chose to shoot on. For instance, according to Herzog, when reflecting on his photo of the neon jungle at Hastings and Carroll in 1958, I only took one picture, not 2 or 3 for safety. I had no money for that, so I had to know exactly how to expose it, take one picture, and hope it didn't get lost in the mail. Most sources cite that it wasn't until 2007 when the Vancouver Art Gallery presented work from throughout his entire career that Herzog was truly, finally recognized for his photography, since it displayed such a wide variety of subjects that distinctly exhibited and defined what Vancouver is, was, and had been throughout the previous decades. The neon signs and soft drink signs, the cigarette ads and billboards, and the posters and the graffiti and collages of torn-off posters, all that contributes to make the city a place where art actually happens. Fred Herzog had a clear affection for the city of Vancouver and capturing the everyday people, places, and things that occupied the city. The mundane, the common, and what many would find bland and uninspiring are exactly what inspired his work, and what made it possible for him to capture a specific place during a specific time in its history. He captured Vancouver for what it really was and not in a positive or negative way. Part of the fun of street photography is trying to make everyday things look interesting. According to David Company in the foreword to this book, he did this through how he observed the grain of the city as it lived, worked, played, and changed. He surveyed the streets, alleyways, storefronts, signs, empty lots, backyards, the waterfronts, and the people. Herzog clearly put thought into what he was capturing and why he was capturing it. He stated that all of the signage of North American cities made them both beautiful and easy to identify as North American cities. He described secondhand shops as a microcosm of American culture that consists of all the things we want to have, all the things we need to have, and all the things we'd love to have, in a condensed fashion. He thinks of everyday locations as looking like pieces of art in their own right, and as having the perfect potential to be movie sets that no set dresser could improve upon, saying that their perfection for what they are is beyond belief. All of these insights into what he decided to include in his photography and his love and reverence for the subjects of his photography paint a detailed picture of why he was able to capture both beautiful and vivid images of Vancouver throughout the back half of the 1900s. None of this would have been possible without developing his abilities over time in an art form that he pursued throughout the majority of his entire life. Herzog was incredibly confident in the work he produced, saying he was always aware of the fact that what he was creating was art. The development of how you see and how you think about photography is everything when it comes to all genres of the medium, but it can be crafted in different ways in street photography. Herzog stated, "Timing in photography is almost everything. You have to pay attention to where the light comes from, you have to pay attention to your background. If your background is too loud or makes too much of itself, that's the problem of the photographic process. It records everything that's in the viewfinder, whether it's important or not." He claimed to have taken over 80,000 photos, so clearly a lot of experimentation went into getting his photography just right. Herzog shot all of the time to get what he describes as how you see and how you think. The reason for doing these deep dives into the work of other photographers is to see what I can learn from them and how that can be applied into my own work. These are a few things I learned from studying the work of Fred Herzog. Usually in street photography, there's a lot of focus on just the subjects themselves, but taking time to really pay attention to the background, the lighting, the contrast, all the other things in the photo will present better outcomes. Herzog put a lot of emphasis on taking photos of signage to point out that he was in North America. Since I have the ability to travel a lot, I should focus on kind of including more signs to really point out where I am. It took him 80,000 photos to create a few books over the course of his lifetime. This one in particular has maybe between 100 and 200 photos. You shouldn't be focused on getting something good every time that you go out, and you should just work on the body of work throughout a long span of time, and eventually those photos will come into place. I had a lot of fun taking a deep dive into the work of Fred Herzog, and I hope that I can apply some of what I've learned into my own work. I hope to take more deep dives into the work of other photographers and make more videos and learn from those as well. Hope to see you in the next video. Until then, keep shooting.